who is this girl? Do we know her?
Didn't recognize her.
That's nasty.
On October 18th, 1987, a woman's body was found near the Spalding Turnpike on the outskirts of Rochester, New Hampshire. She had been strangled to death. The woman was identified as 34-year-old Lulucourchesne, a divorcee with 3 daughters. Aileen, whose friends knew her by the nickname Lulu, was engaged to Darren Healy, a local man who was then in jail. 6 months after Lulu's murder, police arrested the man she had last been seen with, Rick McHugh, who had moved to Rochester 3 weeks before the murder. At McHugh's trial, the prosecution theorized that Rick and Lulu had argued after a sexual liaison at his apartment.
Mr. Foreman has...
He had then killed her, probably in his pickup truck, and dumped the body.
How do you find the defendant? Guilty or not guilty?
We find the defendant guilty.
On December 6, 1988, Rick McHugh was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole.
Don't worry, we'll start working on the appeal immediately. I can't believe this happened. We'll be in contact.
Almost 3 years later, one of the jurors from his trial came forward with a stunning declaration.
I felt that I had made a mistake at the trial by not fully grasping the evidence that was presented and the areas of doubt that were presented. And I feel now that there were enough areas of doubt that we shouldn't have convicted Richard McHugh at the time of the trial.
I mean, I feel bad for Aileen's family. I mean, they had a terrible loss. But putting an innocent man in prison doesn't help anybody's situation. And so I'm angry that it took so long for the truth to finally come out. It's been a long time coming.
In 2 weeks, Rick McHugh will get a second day in court. His retrial was granted based on the misconduct of one of the jurors, brought to light when Tom Magruder went public with his belief that Rick McHugh was not guilty. In addition, at least 2 witnesses have now come forward and stated that another man confessed to the murder.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good.
Rick McHugh had met Lulucourchesne at the convenience store where she worked less than 48 hours before she was murdered. Despite the fact that Lulu was wearing an engagement ring, she and Rick went out for drinks and made a second date for the next night, the night that would end in Lulucourchesne's murder.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, I'm not quite ready yet. You want to just hang out for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right out.
While Rick was waiting for Lulu, a man named Russell Healy entered the apartment without knocking.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm Russell.
Rick.
Hey, where's Lulu?
Only later did Rick learn that Russell Healy's brother Darren was Lulu's fiancé.
Who are you?
Just a friend of hers. I met her at the store the other day.
Hello. Hey, bro, how you doing?
A few minutes after Russell Healy arrived, his brother telephoned from jail.
Hi. Yeah, I'm okay.
She put her finger up to her mouth to me as a way, I guess, to, don't say anything. Like, shh.
I miss you too.
And then when she handed Russell the phone, he looked at me while he was telling his brother on the phone that, no, nobody else was there. I didn't know why he would be saying that. I was sitting right in front of him. I guess I put 2 and 2 together that maybe it's the guy who gave her the ring. And they didn't want her to get in trouble for me being there.
So what do you do for work?
I'm a painter.
A painter, huh?
Yeah.
What do you paint?
Paint bridges.
Bridges?
That night, Rick and Lulu went to 2 different bars. They drank and shot pool until around 2 in the morning.
We went back out to my truck, and while it was warming up, we kissed a little bit and decided we're gonna go back to my apartment.
Where are we going? Let's go here. Okay.
2 of Rick's friends, Cheryl and Marty McGuire, were visiting that night. They remember being awakened by Rick and Lulu.
It didn't sound like anything violent, just a normal, the 2 of them in the other room relationship. And Lulu had said, slow down. And then a minute later, Rick had said, get dressed. I'll take you home. And it was just a normal way of talking.
Did the defendant say anything in response once you said slow down?
Yes.
At Rick's trial, the prosecution tried to use Cheryl's testimony to establish a motive, claiming that Rick was angry with Lulu. Cheryl felt her words were misinterpreted.
All this in a matter of seconds.
They kept making an issue. Was he mad at her? Did he yell at her? How did he say it? It wasn't violent. It wasn't angry. It was just a normal tone of get dressed and I'll take you home.
When Cheryl McGuire heard Rick's truck pulling away, she went to the kitchen to call the all-night donut shop where she was employed. Phone records show that it was 2:42 a.m.
Hi, Mr. Harrison. This is Cheryl. There's no way I'm going to make it in there tomorrow.
According to Rick, he dropped Lulu at her apartment building sometime after 2:30 a.m. Lori Clark and her husband lived in the same building as Lulu. Lori was still awake when Rick McHugh brought Lulu home.
She shut those headlights out.
Lori claims she did not testify at Rick's trial because of recurrent health problems.
My bedroom window was right at the front of the building. When the truck pulled up, he was probably maybe 10 feet away from my front bedroom window. I heard Aileen get out of the truck and walk up on the porch.
Hey, Lulu.
Huh?
Hey, forgot your stuff.
What?
Forgot your stuff.
They were talking kind of loud because of the muffler sound on the truck.
I handed her a pocketbook and her boots were also in the truck.
Thanks.
I handed those to her, said goodnight, and drove away. I went back home.
And then she went inside the hallway, and I heard like stumbling, almost like she was trying to crawl up the stairs like she was drunk. And then I heard one big bang.
What's she doing?
And then I didn't hear nothing else after that, and I just went to sleep.
Around 14 hours later, on Sunday afternoon, Lulucourchesne's body was found. A gash over her right eye had produced a significant trickle of blood. On Wednesday, Rick McHugh was questioned at the police station.
And you never saw her again? I never saw her again. That's it. That's my statement.
Later that day, the police took Rick's truck to make wheelbase measurements and to check it for blood and soil samples.
The police went out to the scene and they obtained a sample of the dirt from the area where the body was discovered, and they took that sample with the sample from the truck, and they sent it to the FBI lab, and that came back negative. As far as the blood was concerned, there was no blood found in McHugh's truck.
Several hours after the murder, Lulu's youngest daughter says she found blood in her mother's bathroom. Later, a bloody towel was discovered in a closet. Although that blood was never analyzed, some spatters remained in the front hall of the apartment building. 5 months after Rick McHugh was arrested, his attorney brought in a forensic chemist to test those blood spatters.
You mean you're still able to tell after this period of time?
Mm-hmm.
It was removed by the chemist, and they tested the droplets, and it was determined that it was human blood, and that it was type A, and that was the type that the victim had.
Despite the complete absence of blood in Rick McHugh's truck and the presence of blood in Lulu's apartment, the prosecution still contended that Rick had killed Lulu and dumped her body sometime between the time they left his apartment and the time he returned alone. Cheryl McGuire swears that he would not have had enough time.
It was approximately 15 minutes from the time of the phone call to the time Rick came back. I don't feel that he would have had enough time to strangle her, drop the body off, clean himself off, and come back. He had just enough time from where the apartment was to where her apartment was to drop her off, and that was the approximate time, 15 minutes, that he was gone.